So we had gone to the Torngat Mountains, and in part to see bears, in part to see a remote area in the Arctic, and it was the third day on the trip. We had seen a mother and cub before that, and seen a large male bear before that as well. And it was our third night in the Torngats. I woke up to hear Matt screaming, "Help me, help me." I tore out of my tent, grabbed a flare gun, which was one of the pieces of protection we had brought with us. And when I got out of the tent, I saw Matt being dragged away from our camp. Our camp was surrounded by an electric fence. The bear had torn through the fence and was dragging Matt by his head away from camp. I took out the flare gun and shot at the bear. The bear dropped Matt, started running away. The bear ran about 50 yards and started coming back for Matt. We thought Matt was dead at that point. I then shot at the bear again, and the bear ran away. We then went out and got Matt, found that he was not dead, thankfully, and carried him back into camp, started arranging for his evacuation, and then later on our evacuation, and started treating Matt as well.
And the rest of the night there, I imagine you must have been up all night fearing the possibility of a bear coming back.
We were. So that was the fourth bear we had seen. The large bear we saw the day before, we had to scare away with a flare gun as well. So we had been left with, we started out with eight cartridges. They're 12-gauge flare cartridges. We had at that point used 3 of them, and we knew that we didn't know that bear wasn't coming back or that some other bear wasn't coming back. So it was a long night waiting. At least when it turned light, we could see a bear coming, and that was the scariest part. And we weren't sure how long it would take to get Matt evacuated or to get our own evacuation arranged.
Sabrina Shankman, you are with the Pulitzer Prize-winning news website, InsideClimate News. You've turned this story into a book. Talk about what this attack means for climate change.
Sure. When we first heard about this attack, it was interesting because it's on par with almost what's expected. So you can't ever say that a specific polar bear attack is related to climate change because you can't get inside the head of a polar bear. But what we do know is that biologists have been predicting for a couple of years now that as the sea ice continues to disappear, the habitat from which polar bears hunt, there's going to be an increase in these kind of human and polar bear interactions. And so that's exactly what you've seen. Matt's attack was horrific, but it's one of a number that have happened. You're looking at, we're on course for about 35 attacks this decade, according to one of the researchers I spoke with. In the past, back in the 60s and 70s, you're talking about 10 per decade. So exactly what the biologists have said is going to happen as climate change progresses is what we're seeing.
Is it more people are going there?
That's so there is this question of, is it that there are more people going there? Possibly. It could also be that, polar bears are traveling further inland. So you have these Inuit communities, especially around the Hudson Bay, where the bears are traveling further and further inland, and you've got people being attacked in the middle of these main streets. I mean, last year in Churchill, there were 2 people about a month apart who were walking home on a main street, late at night or early in the morning, around 5 in the morning, and they were attacked not by a mugger, but by a polar bear.